All right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast, NBA podcast. My name is Keith. Got Michael Pina coming up later on the show. The last drop is with Daman Rangoola, but I'm joined right now by my good buddy, Chuck Anderson. Chuck, what's going on, man?
Hey, now on a Thursday.
Chuck got you on the Thursday show. For those of you viewing this on YouTube, Chuck is wearing his work polo. The
work
garb
drag.
of a man. You're not letting it defeat you, much like my son in his first grade uniform. He doesn't know any better. He's just wearing a little polo.
No.
Looks like a little sweet guy.
I'm a man of uniforms. I spent my childhood in Catholic school and then the military. I'm comfortable not having to think about what I wear in the morning. It's very good for me.
I have a lazy dad uniform, which
Sweaters.
is just a hoodie,
Jerseys.
a hoodie and soft pants.
Makes sense.
Athleisure has come for me. It started with the pandemic, and I'm never going back. I'm never going back to snaps and fasteners and zippers. No.
I think I've seen you in a few pro snaps, but
I'll do a Western snap. It's funny. My Western snap, shirts. It's basically the uniform of Nashville. If you're an aging hipster in Nashville, you wear those. But so I stopped wearing them, except when I'm not in Nashville. When I'm not in Nashville, I wear them constantly because I feel like it's much fewer people are wearing them.
It's a line of demarcation around Davidson County.
Yeah, we all have our own uniforms that we.
Yeah. John Burr wears brooches.
John Bohr does wear brooches. I would say I've been, because of community numbers are down, transmission rates are very low. Kids are getting vaccinated. So I've started going back to my other part-time job that is not talking about basketball. And thus I've been picking the kids up from school wearing not my dad uniform, not my hoodies and track pants. I'm wearing like as they call them,
khakis?
Piano clothes. Saying, oh, yeah.
Piano clothes.
My son was like, why are you wearing piano clothes? I'm like, oh, it's, and he's 7. He's not like a little 2-year-old.
Right.
I was like, well, it's true. I only put on things that have buttons if I'm going somewhere, usually to play piano. So that is what that was. Anyway, Chuck, Wednesday night, an 11-game slate in the NBA, a lot going on. But then also we have our Thursday morning news break. I feel like Woj just, his job is to pump the news cycle. Yes. And every Thursday morning, he feels like he needs a little bit of juice. Today's news story is about how NBA general managers, not specifically related to Neil O'Shea being investigated by his owner for creating a toxic workplace, but this apparently predates this. NBA general managers and basketball executives are going to form an association, much like the NBA Coaches Association, to pool, I guess, funds for legal defense. The initial reaction, I'd say the initial reaction is kind of like, like a union for bosses to protect the toxic employees.
Ugh.
But I feel like when you think a little bit deeper, this seems like, I don't know. It's hard with the Neil O'Shea situation because we don't know any actual specifics. It's all just the owner, Jody Allen, has said, we're investigating him for toxic workplace, and everyone is implying we think it's because she wants to fire him without cause. So, unrelated to Neil O'Shea, the idea of basketball general managers forming an association so they can fight their billionaire owners. If the billionaire owners decide, hey, I don't want to pay you your contract anymore, so instead of firing you, I'm going to I'm going to suit up.
Manufacture.
Yeah, I'm going to suit up and investigate you for something. It does seem like, all right, now I understand where my initial reaction is like, all right, maybe the general managers do need this.
Well, I'm all for finding ridiculous behaviors that have existed since time immemorial and rooting them out. So the idea that because you are in charge of a sports organization, even though you don't technically play sports yourself, you have to put forth this masculine, crazy energy where you're belittling people and making your secretary run suicides, like whatever Neil O'Shea's doing. I don't know. But
that's very creative that you came up with.
I mean, that's what I imagine abuse, a toxic work environment in a basketball front office. To me, that's what it sounds like. His coffee was cold. She's got to run the 3-man weave with, the legal team. But whatever, I think it's okay that we get to the place where we're, calling this stuff out, even if it is to save a billionaire millions of dollars, and if these setups, for like a legal fund or any sort of like collective bargaining for the GM's, own benefit, it's all right, I guess. It probably will lead to them having to like follow more rules, which I don't think is a bad thing.
It's weird because, like, again, if you take it away from the Neil O'Shea thing, because we don't know the details. Maybe he's a bad dude, maybe he's not. I do think the owner class, if we look at like, all right, if Robert Sarver or Tillman Fertitta or Jody Allen, like, these are characters from Succession.
Oh no.
And 100%. These characters from Succession say, hey, person making way less, person I employ, I'm not paying your salary anymore. I'm going to investigate you for toxic work culture, whether it exists or not. Not saying that's the case with Neil O'Shea. I don't know. But that's where I can get on board and be like, all right, maybe these guys do need to team up, because if you're fighting the billionaire owners, the Josh Harris's saying, like, listen, I'm going to land my helicopter in your kid's soccer game, and your soccer game is going to get canceled because this is where I decided to park my helicopter today. That's a true story. Look it up. I don't know. There needs to be some way, I guess, to have some defense against them. But anyway, this is like a serious topic, and we hate serious topics. In the NBA on Wednesday night, Chuck, we have a running bet for the season.
Yes, we do.
The Tyler Hero. I said Tyler Hero will not average 18 points per game this year. I have a protest I'd like to lodge.
What's that?
Tyler Hero threw a pass into the basket from behind half court. He tried to throw an alley-oop and it went in the basket from behind half court. Those 3 points should not count. I feel like those 3 points in our
end
final
of the year,
we get those 3 points out.
I'll give you that. If this whole situation is set up and I fail by 3 points, really my thought experiment is over. We're good.
So now I think that means he only needs to average 17.999997 points if we're throwing those 3 points out. I'm stunned. Like, I thought 18 points was like, all right, that's fine. But like 21 points, how is he averaging over 21 points?
Well, Eric Spoelstra's calling him the fifth starter.
Fifth? What does that mean?
The sixth starter.
That makes more sense.
So he's playing starter minutes. He's, filling in for, Jimmy Butler when Jimmy Butler was out the past, 2.5 games before he came back for a triple-double against the Pels. By the way, Jimmy Butler had a great quote about that Tyler Hero alley-oop shot. He said, that's why Tyler is a shooting guard, because that was a terrible pass. So shout out Jimmy Butler, who's also just, roasting his teammates on his Instagram stories. Jimmy Butler's a gem. And if you had him in your organization and you let him go, why? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Many teams have done it.
Many teams. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
But he is one triple-double short of the Miami Heat record set by LeBron James in his 4 years in Miami Heat uniform. But anyway.
Heard of him. Last 5 games, Chuck, do you know how many minutes per game Tyler Hero's playing?
He's got to be over 34.
He's at 38.5 minutes per game in his last 5.
I was going to say 36.
This is not fair.
No.
He's a 6-man playing 38 minutes a game. So you sent me this because I was just curious, like, how many times has a 6th man even averaged over 20 points per game? And the last time it happened, it's Lou Williams. He did it in consecutive seasons, 2017-18, 2018-19. He averaged 20 points per game in 2019. But like Tyler Hero's at 21.7. There's only been 5 players ever to average over 20 points per game coming off the bench. It is
incredible.
Ricky Pierce, Lou Williams, they did it twice each. And then Xavier McDaniel and Eddie Johnson. And then we're including 1 year, I guess, that Kiki Vandeweghe only played 37 games. Right. So like Tyler Hero could be the 6th player ever to average over 20 points per game coming off the bench. That is
locked for 6 man.
He is.
And then look, it finally, I've said, I said it at the beginning of last season, and really like him having a full off season and him actually being able to get into a weight room, like he's put in the work. You could see his body.
That applies to everyone.
No, but I don't think when you're 19.
Okay.
Right. At the end of his first season, he was still 19. His body is yet to develop. It's full. His frontal lobe isn't finished being formed. Right. So he still has some a full off season of integration and exercise, I think, for a kid who's still from his facial hair experiencing puberty. He is still in the middle of puberty.
I need an intervention. I need healthy players on the Heat. I need playing time going down. I need him to stop making so many shots. It's a disaster. He's scoring so many points.
And we had a little kerfuffle on a text exchange about Tyler being a 3-level scorer. He is nice around the basket. This was just an anecdotal feeling I had. Yeah. And then I looked into the numbers. I actually subscribed to Cleaning the Glass, which is everybody is in for.
You also sent me a stat head search. I didn't know you knew how to do that. I was very impressed. You set some filters on there. You're like, they need to start less than 20 games. I was like, this is incredible. I didn't know Chuck could do this.
I've got some skills.
I'm a proud papa.
I just don't use them for basketball. And now man. I think I might start using them for basketball.
I've got some skills. I just don't use them as one of my life mantras. I'm glad.
So yeah, it's been fun to have and I think you do this too, where you have an emotional feeling about a player.
Yes.
And then you go, let me look into the data behind my emotions.
Oh no, I say, let me find what data supports my emotion. That's all I say. I say, let me pull out whatever biased propaganda I can using numbers that people will drink up. And that's what I do. I am 100%. I only use stats for confirmation bias.
I need to learn from you. That's what I need.
Yeah. You find one good stat and then you're like, you know what? I'm pretty sure this is true. And you go look it up and like, oh, that's not true. I'm just never going to think about that again. I'm not sharing what I found out that combo averages when they play together. Anyway, Chuck, the holidays are back. And so is the Grizzlies gift of the season. And so is the Grizzliest gift of the season. That's Grizzly with 2 Z's, not like bloody and murderous Grizzly. The Grizzliest gift of the season are Memphis Grizzlies 6-game holiday packs. They're on sale right now. They feature the year's best matchups and giveaways, including the Warriors, Nets, Bucks, and more. The holiday packs start at just $20 per game. Plus, if you buy on Black Friday, you'll receive the Dallas December 8th game free. So skip them all, avoid the crowds, do your holiday shopping, and warm up this season with the Grizzlies 6-game holiday pack. Call 901-888-HOOP or shop online now at grizzlies.com. Well, anyway, Chuck, I appreciate you stopping by and trying to think, are we doing a Zoom hangout this week?
I thought we were going to try on Sunday.
We should do that. And I will see you this Sunday for our Zoom hangout. That's right. If you're one of our Patreon supporters, we will do our monthly Zoom hangout this Sunday. Let's call it midday, roughly. Just look on patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast for the details of the Zoom hangout. We will answer your questions there. If you aren't a Patreon supporter and you want to get involved with that and the other bonus content we put out, including joining our Slack channel or playing in the Pickle Pick'em, join us at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Until then, Chuck, I'll be seeing you.
See you.
All right. Thanks, man. That was awesome.
Got you, buddy. Cool stuff.
See you, bud.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey.
What's up, man?
Nothing. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to seeing you. Is that a WNBA or just an orange hoodie?
So it's just an orange hoodie. Every single time I wear it doing one of these, I get asked that and I feel terrible because I wish it was a WNBA hoodie, but it's just
a cheap way to do it. I mean,
exactly.
Did they mail you one? Because if they didn't mail you one, I feel like you're fine.
100%. No, they did not mail me anything.
Right. I saw a lot of people on Twitter, like they got mailed one. I'm like, oh, well, and I'd wear one. It's a nice thing, but yeah. All right, let's get this.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? All right, let's get this on the record. Let's start. I'm joined right now by Michael Pina. Michael, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. You are a busy sports reporter. I think it's fair to say. You wrote a couple things this week that are very, very interesting. One, this incredible Kevin Garnett piece at GQ. I want to get to that, and also think you wrote about the Warriors. But before we do all that, have to ask you about your breakfast. It's how we do things. Have you had a chance to have breakfast this fine morning?
I have. I think my breakfast is the exact same every day since the last time I was on this show. I'm not positive if I've switched it up, but it's basically, I don't even know if you're asking for exactly what I ate, but I'm going to tell you.
Literally what I'm doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
That's unbelievable. Okay. So I have baked oats with yogurt and fruit. So basically like a parfait, I guess is what you would call that. Yeah.
That's perfect. And if you ever buy like one of those packaged parfaits in an airport, where like the granola's in the lid.
Yeah.
This is a question I had. I got criticized once for my parfait consumption. Are you supposed to dump all the granola immediately and stir, or can you sprinkle as you go?
You dump and you stir.
Okay.
I think so.
I was wrong.
That's what I do.
I was wrong. Okay.
No, I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. It's to each his own.
I mean, that might be true. I feel like sometimes there's an etiquette for this thing. I remember the first time I saw one, it was actually like a puzzle. It was like, this is a puzzle box for me to solve. I was like, there's granola in here. How do I get that even open? I feel like there were some secrets I don't understand. I'm looking at other business travelers. I am not a businessman nor a traveler usually. Anyway, no, that's a delicious breakfast. I also got to ask a little behind the scenes. You sent me a message saying you're cool at like 5:30 in the morning. Is that your normal? Was that your morning? Do you get up that early? Were you rolling over in bed?
Sometimes, I made the mistake last night of watching the Rockets play the Thunder, and it basically put me to sleep.
You have regrets?
So I had regrets. So I had to wake up early and watch Mavs Suns, which is a better game before I got things started, because I planned on watching that last night, but I was so exhausted after watching the Houston Rockets play a basketball game.
When you said you made the mistake of watching Rockets Thunder, that's like when I had a friend in high school who was like, I had this terrible movie experience. I went with my parents to see Boogie Nights. And I was like, what did you expect to happen when you went into Boogie Nights with your parents? Michael, what did you expect to happen when you watched Thunder Rockets?
No, I mean, that's 100% fair. It was not a mistake. It's something I regret. I went in knowing what I was getting myself into, and I was not happy or pleased at all. But
it was the Rockets' revenge opportunity, or the Thunder's revenge opportunity. The Rockets' only victory of the season was against the Thunder. I heard. Right. I have not watched the game. Can you tell me this? I heard the Rockets, threw out all the stops, and maybe were trying to win maybe more aggressively than they were in other games. Maybe a little heavier Eric Gordon minutes, trying to get the W. Was that an accurate representation?
It's not. It's not an accurate representation.
They were not trying.
They are. I felt like it was a battle of, who is really trying to tank here? And the Rockets are really trying to tank. I mean, they don't play. Sengun's not getting minutes over Daniel Tice. What are we doing here? I don't understand.
That's the funny thing with the Rockets, where it's like, we're not even playing our first round draft pick who looks awesome. Like, we're not
so
like
weird.
Shingun. I watched my Grizzlies just humiliate the Rockets. Although I guess when you've already debased yourself, can you be even more humiliated? I don't know. But like, Shingun barely played. It's like, we barely played in the game. Like, what are we doing here? Like, Garuba comes in with like 6 minutes left, and they're already down by 45. It's like, well,
it's bizarre.
What in the world is even happening? Anyway, let's get around to the Warriors thing. You heard about the Warriors, the opposite end of the spectrum in the league. The Warriors kind of having an incredible start to the season. They did pick up their first victory east of the Mississippi the other night. So now I can recognize them as being actually good, having traveled to my region of the continent, of the country. They now play tonight. They have their first back-to-back of the season but I'm told I'm supposed to stop criticizing their easy schedule. They are, in fact, for real. They're top 5 in offense. They're number 1 in defense. You wrote on Sports Illustrated just about how this offense is really, really clicking. So I should stop making all my criticisms over their weak schedule. And this Warriors team is, in fact, legitimate.
I think they're legitimate. It was very interesting to me how the media, and I am a part of the media, but certain media members were asking questions after I was at the Nets Warriors game the other night, which was a really wonderful game to attend. But afterwards, it's kind of like the questions are really trying to shape the narrative of, oh, the Warriors are back. You know, like they are what they were in 2015, 2016. And no one on the team is like buying that at all. They're really understanding, I think. First of all, we're very early on in the season still. Second of all, their schedule has been pretty terrible, I think. And terrible as in
for the people cheering against them.
It's just not the stoutest schedule, and that's not their fault. But no. I think that they understand that they have a long way to go before they're able to win 4 straight playoff series. That's really not what they're the level of ability that they're at yet.
Yeah.
And they're still working through
or to win a very important play-in game. I mean, I just,
Sure. Exactly. Yes. So I thought that was really interesting, but when you just watch this team aesthetically, particularly on the offensive end, they look like they did before Kevin Durant was there. And it's a blast to watch them play basketball, which is what I tried to write about.
Yeah, aesthetically, no question. The Warriors are so much fun, and Steph Curry is so much fun, and Draymond is at the peak of his powers right now. And is it just like maybe the pieces, like the auxiliary pieces, the ancillary pieces of like your Juan Toscano Andersons and your Jordan Pooles kind of getting with the program after a couple years of not being as good? Or is it like the subtraction of just random, your Kent Bazemores and your Kelly Oubre's, who aren't naturally maybe ball movers, more so Oubre, who just when he gets the ball isn't his first thought to keep moving it or to find someone else? Like, is that the reason? Like, what is the reason that it has come together if it's not just schedule based?
No, I think that is a combination of both, right? I don't think one is separate from the other. You subtract someone like Kelly Oubre, someone like Kent Bazemore from the equation. You add Andre Iguodala. You add Nemanja Bjelica, who's really a terrific playmaker. I love Nemanja Bjelica, and I think he's just such a wonderful fit there. Otto Porter's really just understands how to play basketball. He understands what his role is. He cuts really well. He shoots really well. Moves without the ball, sets screens. And I think all the players on the team talk about this, or at least the ones who spoke afterwards did, but like, they have an identity. They know how they want to play. If you're not a part of that, then you don't stay there very long. So the players who, it's like why Iguodala is back there, why he's thriving in his little role there. And the system is the system. And it's just so easy to play around Steph Curry if you know how to play basketball, how Steve Kerr wants you to play basketball.
Yeah, their offense, which has been, again, maybe the surprise if you pick between the two, they were good at defense last year. They were not very good at offense this year. That seems the most likely to regress. Is that fair to say? Like, if we look at the end of the year, they're probably not going to be top 5 in both offense and defense. I think if one sticks, we're thinking probably the defense is a little more tenable to last.
Maybe.
Okay.
I have a lot of faith in, it's like if Steph Curry stays healthy.
Sure.
The on-offs are kind of wild there, where they're just the worst offense in the league when he's not on the court. And when he's on the court, they're by far the best. So if that guy stays healthy, and, they switched up his stints a little bit in how he plays. Usually last year he played the entire first quarter. They're subbing him out a little bit early. They're putting him back in at the start of the second quarter so he can play against second units a little bit more and be a little bit more fresh throughout the game, which I think is really interesting. So if no one's solving Steph Curry in our lifetime. So if he's healthy, I don't see how that offense falls off really. And Klay hasn't even come back yet. And if Klay looks even close to what Klay has looked like, then it's going to be a tough team to stop on offense for sure.
If you're Klay Thompson and if you're coming back from basically 2 years away, do you kind of wish maybe in some part of your subconscious that the team isn't playing this amazing So because it's only downhill. Like it's only downhill when he joins. They're not going to keep winning 85% of their games. I feel confident in saying that. And so like, I feel like it's a little bit nervous. Like you guys have set the bar so high. When Klay Thompson comes back, he's like, I'm just going to try to slide in. And if we're now only winning 65% of our games, which is excellent, like, does he feel like, oh, I kind of mess things up?
So I think Klay will amplify what they do. I think what you are saying really applies to the mindset of James Wiseman more so. If he were to come back and suddenly they got to run more pick and roll, because that's the guy who I'm really interested to see how they integrate him into the offense, and whether he's on the floor with Steph or they just run Poole, Wiseman pick and rolls to death when Steph's out, and see how successful that is, and if they're just like two different offensive systems. I'm fascinated to see how that works, but Klay's just going to make them better. I don't see how Klay can.
I hope so. I mean, Klay's awesome. Also, no one dislikes Klay, so I know none of us media and semi-media people will be blaming. Can't blame Klay Thompson.
No, absolutely not.
The guy's awesome. So you also wrote, this thing came out on GQ about Kevin Garnett. I got to ask you, just what's it like talking to Kevin Garnett? That seems kind of overwhelming and incredible. One of the most ferocious or intense personalities kind of in sports. Is it unbelievably intimidating just asking him random questions about his career and his new documentary?
Yeah, it was super intimidating. I mean, he's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah.
And so it was like a dream assignment from the jump. So I was like very nervous heading into the interview, heading into, stepping into his living room. After, I would say 3 hours or so of just kind of following him around, it was, we had like our first interaction, the butterflies kind of calmed down a little bit. And by the time I sat down to talk to him, he's just like, it's fascinating how he can go from being, I wrote in the piece, but like Ric Flair, like hyping himself up before a title fight, to like just being this like monkish figure who's like taking a deep breath and really thinking through and calmly answering a question in the most like elegant and thoughtful way. So yes, to answer your question, he is very intense. I think he is, I don't know when he's off. He seems to always be just an on type of personality and very engaged in everything that's going on around him. And honestly, one of the funniest storytellers I've ever been around in my entire life. So that was just a thrill. The whole experience was wild and surreal. And I don't think I'll ever top it in my career, to be honest with you.
No, it's incredible. What's a scenario that you would like to observe? Possibly a mundane scenario that you would like to observe Kevin Garnett just doing? Like, is it shopping at Home Depot? Like, can you imagine just being hilarious where he's like, this is amazing. Like, look at this hammer. Or like he gets fired up. He starts doing the howl, or like what's just a run of the mill situation that you would love just be fly on the wall and see how Kevin Garnett lives that experience?
That's a really great question. I think I would love to watch him watch himself in Uncut Gems.
Oh,
I would love to see him react to, like, is he embarrassed about his acting? Is he like cheering for himself? Just how does he, is he yelling at the screen?
Yeah.
I would love to watch that. I think like in a private, he has this home theater in his basement. I would love to just sit next to him, watch the movie, and get the running narrative from him live. I can
imagine him responding to his character doing like why would you show it to me if I can't have it? And him like yelling the same thing. Like, I want to, I can imagine. I think my pick would be Church. I'd like to see Kevin Garnett just in like a kind of a buttoned up Church and just see if he gets real excited, if he gets fired up, just how he manages that. Let's wrap up talking about the Eastern Conference, which I think is incredibly interesting right now. You have the Eastern Conference finalists from last year, the Bucks and the Hawks. They're not even in the play-in range right now. They're outside the top 10, about a quarter way through the season. The Celtics also kind of similarly, is mediocre the right word? I feel like everyone is just kind of good Is that fair? Like, is it more that the Celtics are struggling, and we think that, the Bucks, they faced injury, and we assume that they're going to be amazing, especially after watching Giannis and what he did on Wednesday night. Like, what are the Celtics going? Like, could they possibly miss the play-in? Like, what's your read on how this conference right now is stacking up, basically 1 through 11?
Yeah, it's like almost 1 through 13. I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have the standings in front of me, but I think the Pacers are 13.
So the Pacers are 13.
Now.
Yeah. The Pistons and the Magic are, that's fair. They're the only ones that are just probably not going to participate in the chase.
Right. So it's just a wild start to the season, I think, in the East. And to answer your question, I don't know how to answer your question.
Yeah.
I don't know what is real, what is not. Like, the Chicago Bulls having this record, the Washington Wizards who lost last night to the Hornets, like, they're still, I think, in first in the conference.
Yeah.
So, like, what are the Knicks? I'll talk about the teams that you mentioned first. Yeah. Like, I think that the Atlanta Hawks are going to figure it out. I don't think their defense is this bad. I think their offense is sputtered because of the shot selection. A lot of mid-range, nothing from the 3-point line. They'll figure it out. I think, honestly, DeAndre Hunter's injury is good for them as they try to figure out a proper rotation and get everybody the right amount of touches, the right type of rhythm. I wrote about that before the season began. Kind of anticipated that struggle a little bit as they try to figure things out, because when they were 100% healthy last year, they were bad. And so they really benefited from some injuries to some players. So I think they'll figure it out and be fine. Trey looks like really good, and I think some of the free throw stuff is a little overblown with him. The Bucks, I also think, will be fine. Like, they're just not healthy, and maybe we should be concerned because we don't really know what's the deal with Brook Lopez, and if he's just out for they suddenly announce tomorrow, hey, he's out until the All-Star break. Okay, well, that's important. Grayson Allen's been shooting the ball like crazy, and is that going to keep up? You would know better than me.
Well, I get everyone being like, "Hey, Keith, are you seeing Grayson Allen's shooting splits?" Because I was a big Grayson Allen critic, more so like, guys, he's not a serious option. Let's get Melton and Bane in the game. And everyone's like, "Hey, have you seen Grayson's shooting numbers?" I'm like, "Yeah." Have you seen the Bucks record? What about this is confusing? I'm used to him making shots in games that teams lose. Like, I'm accustomed to that, guys. Like, this is not the parade you think it is. Oh, the defending champs are under 500 and Grayson Allen shooting great percentage. Yeah. All right. All right. Caveat. I haven't watched a ton of the Bucks, so maybe he is playing amazing. I'm just doing the thing. Yeah. Good numbers in a loss. What are you, Jonas Valanciunas fan? I've seen this.
Grayson looks good. And if he can keep this up when Middleton and Holiday and Giannis are all, and Lopez, like, if he can keep that shooting up, then they're going to be a very difficult team to beat. We'll see if that happens. I'm not like fretting about the Milwaukee Bucks just yet, though, because they have a top 2 player. I think the Celtics are in a lot of trouble.
They're in a lot of trouble. Before we get to the Celtics, I would say, as a Grayson Allen defender, the fit in Milwaukee is excellent. I was a fan of the fit in Milwaukee. I'm like, oh, Grayson Allen playing beside Drew Holiday? Yes, that makes a lot more sense than Grayson Allen playing beside Ja Morant. Both bad at defense, both undersized. Fair. Not a perfect fit. So yeah, Grayson Allen does have a great opportunity there in Milwaukee. Yeah, let's talk about the teams you just mentioned. Teams you weren't worried about. Then you said you are concerned about the Celtics. Yeah, like, we should be worried, right? This is a tough conference, and they don't look like they maybe have a grip on exactly who they want to be.
Yeah, I think that obviously not having Jaylen Brown is a seismic blow for them. He's their second best player, was playing like their best player before he hurt his hamstring. So, we'll see when he gets, but it's more about, like, even if they figure it out after he gets back, where are you in the standings and what teams ahead of you are actually going to fall off? And I don't know if Jaylen can really improve the offensive woes that this team has had. Defensively, they're figuring it out. They're pretty good. I know they just lost to the Hawks last night. I did not get to watch that game. But, if their identity is defense and, running off, forcing missed shots and getting in transition, then okay, I think that's an acceptable identity to have. I don't know what the ceiling is for that team. And Jason Tatum, he just needs to be more efficient. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know when he's going to figure out really how to balance shooting and playmaking and getting off the ball and ISOing and all of that. I don't know when he's going to figure that out. He's still very young, and maybe our expectations are a little bit too high for him, but they need him to be a top 10 player if they want to make any type of deep run. And I don't think he is that right now.
Is there some problem just with roster construction? Like, this team kind of screams they need maybe a playmaker or like a setup guy, just a very basic, like Schroeder can't be your team's like leading us. I don't know if it's him or Smart who lead an assist, but like both of those guys, like maybe you need another playmaker. You have all these awesome wings in Brown and Tatum and other pieces that fit nicely. Just roster control. I don't know what the option was. Like, was there just a random backup point, a Shabazz Napier, just someone to play who just is going to pass, like for 20 minutes a game?
Yeah. I mean, you would think that they have enough passing at all the positions, at least in the starting five. And then Josh Richardson was a playmaker, pretty good playmaker when he was in Miami. Schroeder, not exactly a pass first player.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart's never played like full-time point guard in his career. So yeah, I do think they miss elements of Kemba Walker. They miss elements of a Kyrie Irving type. They miss elements of a Gordon Hayward type, but like Al Horford's a very good passer at his position. Yeah. Robert Williams is a very good passer at his position. They have unselfishness on the roster. It's just like fundamentally you need Jalen and you need Tatum to really develop that parts of their game before the team can go to the next level.
Yeah. So if we're worried about the Celtics, who else are we worried? I think an obvious one, I guess, like you'd say the Cavaliers, just with the injury, like with Mobley now going to miss some time.
Sure.
Sexton already out for a while. Like just because it's so competitive, like I can see them slipping. Is there anybody else that you think maybe they've played above their heads and they will get caught from is it the Bucks, the Celtics, the Hawks catching up to them?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Knicks skeptic by nature.
Sure.
Was not really a believer in Julius Randle's season last year, and some of his efficiency has dropped this year. I thought that the Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier backcourt was going to be just a real bad mix with how they want to play basketball and what they want their fundamental identity to be. And that has proven true. Those guys are like getting benched in the fourth quarter regularly. Mm-hmm. The defensive rating when they're on the floor is atrocious. Their defensive rating as a team is not where Tom Thibodeau wants it to be at all.
Yeah.
So they just lost to, I didn't get to watch the game, but they just lost to the Orlando Magic last night. I don't know.
Oh man. I don't, if you don't need to rewatch Thunder Rockets, you should definitely catch the fourth quarter. I saw the fourth quarter of the game and it was incredible because there's this unbelievable run where Madison Square Garden is just bumping. It was like a 10-0, 12-0 run. Obi Toppin is doing things and It looks like, all right, the Magic, you're up for 10, but like you're a bad tanking team, we think, or a young rebuilding team. And now you're going to fall under the weight of the Garden and the crowd. And they just responded. Like they got punched, they fell behind, and then they came back. Franz Wagner was dunking on the whole team. Like the Magic just pulled it out. It was an incredible win for the Magic. And yeah, probably a very dispiriting, disheartening defeat for the Knicks who expected a little bit more.
Yeah. I love the Magic. That's a team like a subtle league pass favorite of mine. I love watching Cole Anthony this season. He's been a real bright spot there. Jalen Suggs still figuring it out, but I'm really intrigued by generally every rookie. And speaking as a Celtics fan for 2 seconds, really awesome that throughout the past, 5-6 years, they've had all these draft picks and the draft class that is just like every pick is a home run. They didn't have a first round pick in that draft. So that's just wonderful. But yeah, Wagner is, I think, frankly, I keep thinking about what would have happened if the Warriors drafted Wagner, because he would just have been an absolute sublime fit in their system.
I think I heard, I think it was Jonathan Sharks like a week ago was like, what if the Warriors just took LaMelo Ball and Franz Wagner? I was like, oh man,
yeah, see you later.
what in the world?
Exactly. Caught a little bit of a Kuminga in Brooklyn and watched him in the Charlotte net, their loss against Charlotte. Uh-huh. I think he'll be okay.
Sure.
But yeah, Wagner or even like Davion Mitchell, man, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Some questionable draft picks there. But yeah, Orlando's fun. I don't think they're very good. The Knicks, I think, will continue to have like weird losses. The Pacers are a weird team. I am a Bulls believer. I do like the Bulls. I think they're for real. They're fun. DeRozan looks like an MVP candidate. Love him. They're not even healthy. Lonzo looks very comfortable. So I'm just a big fan of the Bulls. Who else is there? Like the Wizards, we briefly mentioned. Brad Beal doesn't look anything like Brad Beal at all this season, and they've still been able to win with defense. That's a really good sign for them. So it's just a really weird, unpredictable, everything is in sand type of season so far in the Eastern Conference, and that's fun. Like that's the type of season that I like. There's no true juggernaut. We haven't even mentioned the Nets at all, and they're just like kind of flopping around. Yeah, they're flopping around. Harden's starting to look like Harden. He's starting to get the calls again, which is just a big relief for him.
Is Harden like? Does he play himself into shape? Is this just he's getting his cardio up now? Is that what it is? Or I mean, maybe it's the reps, but also possibly he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna work out on your dime, and by December I'm gonna be solid. It's gonna be fine.
Sure, the 0405 Shaquille O'Neal playbook.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be true. Sure, he doesn't look physically at all like he did in the first couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah.
He had like this you watch him in person, which I have because I live in Brooklyn, and he had this burst in transition on one play against the Warriors that I haven't seen it all year long. And I was like, okay, he's starting to look like James Harden. He's starting to create the shots for teammates that he did for years in Houston. So I think they'll be fine, but there's some other elements of that team that are really weird to me. And there's a lot of dependency on Durant, a lot of dependency on Harden. I didn't anticipate them really relying on those guys as much as they have, given the offseason that they had. So interesting all around.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make any conclusions.
That's right. Well, thanks. I think we hit every Eastern Conference team. We didn't say Pistons, so I'll just say congratulations, Pistons, on beating the Pacers on Wednesday night. I mean, who knows? Maybe their defense will come together or something, and I don't know. It's been a very unpredictable year. Anyway, Michael, appreciate the time as always, and I look forward to the next time.
Thanks so much, man.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, dude. Be well.
See ya. It's time for the last drop, joined by our buddy, the Lakers man himself, Daman Rangoola. Daman, how's it going?
Good, man. I'm listen, my team is up and down, but I am up and up and up.
That's good. I'm glad you keep that perspective. I don't schedule you to come on specifically after Lakers losses, but I don't hate it. Like I'm kind of okay with it because I'm feeling great right now. Lakers sit at 8-8. I need that draft pick to land at like 14. That draft pick coming to the Grizzlies landed at 14 or 15. That would be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, just so you guys can draft another NBA Twitter darling. NBA draft Twitter darling.
People are trying to like put me down for being excited about, you're going to get like the 30th pick. Yeah, we're going to get Desmond Bane again. We're going to get another Desmond Bane. It's going to be awesome. Now, the Lakers, 8-8, they played well. I felt like on Wednesday night, national TV game, but they ran into a buzzsaw. One of the best performances you will ever see.
It's weird.
From Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, like he's such a joy to watch when he's going like, obviously the Bucks have had their struggles too. So them starting to get healthy, they probably, they're probably ready to burst out of the gates themselves. But yeah, weirdly enough, I think of all the games this season, and there's been wins and losses and all that, yesterday was the most comfortable I felt watching the Lakers because there wasn't the anxiety of, okay, what the hell are you guys doing? Like this lineup doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. You guys aren't playing hard, even though you're winning, you're beating a team like the Houston Rockets at the, by 2 points. It's like, how are you going to feel good about that? I actually felt really good about their effort. I felt really good. I know we're going to talk about, a player like Taylon Horton Tucker. I felt really good about generally their approach. And look, I mean, they have a really, really long road ahead. But honestly, like I've been so frustrated as a fan because I haven't seen progress. But yesterday I saw progress, and just at this stage of the season, for how miserable it's been, just show me a little bit of progress, show me some fight, and let's see where this goes from here.
Yeah, losing to the defending champs feels a little different than getting swept by the Thunder.
Yeah, very much so.
So you're I mean, let's be real, you're a secret Bucks fan, and
yeah, I mean,
or
listen,
you're a public Bucks fan.
I get a lot of grief from Lakers fans, but I love Giannis. I'm a huge
But what did it feel like? What did it feel like as a Lakers fan and also a secret Bucks fan when you see Giannis basically do a Shaq Diesel? Like, he did a Shaq Diesel against the Lakers. Like, do you feel some kind of like kinship? Like, oh, we used to have a guy like that. Now we only have Anthony Davis, who is like, was half as good as Giannis last night. Like, it was staggering to see someone as good as Anthony Davis going up against Giannis and being like, oh, wow, that guy's not in the same ballpark as that guy.
The modern Shaq label has been bestowed upon Giannis for a while now. And what I'll say is, Shaq himself has been on board with that, which is very rare for him to give credit to a player like that. And basically himself say, yeah, that's modern Shaq. Also Giannis, Kobe disciple, worked out with Kobe. Kobe and him have kind of a somewhat of a relationship. So yeah, how can I hate on Giannis? I think the Anthony Davis, whenever the matchup comes, Anthony Davis is not wired to take that matchup personally, but Giannis is. So Giannis is always ready. Like it was like a couple years ago, the Bucks, there was a Lakers Bucks game, and it was in Milwaukee, and Giannis had like 5 threes that game too, and it was just you could tell he's like an extra pep in his step for that, and I love that about Giannis. Like I obviously, as a Laker fan, I would love to see Anthony Davis have more of it. I just think we should probably. This has been true for a little while now, but we should probably stop the AD Giannis comparisons. Giannis is better, and just move on. Like, anytime these comparisons come up, especially from like Lakers fans, I get really cringe because it's like, I can't defend you guys. Like, stop doing this. Stop it.
So one guy who did play really well for the Lakers on Wednesday night and has played well this season in the few games he's played is your guy, Taylon Horton Tucker. This is the first game I'd seen him play this season. I saw the stats were good. I picked him up in fantasy basketball, and then watching him on Wednesday night, I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's good. And you guys have kind of taken a PR bath over the whole Alex Caruso thing, where like it came out that like the Lakers really lowballed Caruso. Caruso's incredibly popular, a very good player. But I think you guys need to shift this PR battle to be like, we couldn't have Caruso because we have Taylon Horton Tucker. We had to pay Caruso to go away so we could let Taylon Horton Tucker breathe. Can we get that narrative out there maybe?
Listen, I'm on board, man. I mean, listen, it's going to take me at least a few more months to get over the Caruso thing still. But I will say, I think broadly speaking, if you look back at the last 5 to 6 years of the Lakers scouting department, so I'm talking picks that are low first round, second round, undrafted. Caruso's undrafted. THT is the 46th pick. He's 20. He's turning 21 next week. And the way he gets to the basket, the kind of the way he moves on the court is very, very intriguing. And if Taylon Horton Tucker can develop a jump shot, I mean, we're talking all-star trajectory. And to get that from somebody you got with the 46th pick is remarkable. If only the front office and ownership could properly execute on, these picks that the scouting department has compiled, the Lakers would be in even greater shape. But look, man, it's hard for me to properly contextualize how excited I am for Taylor Horton Tucker because I have to warn myself. I'm like, listen, am I being an arrogant Laker fan by being too excited about this? But he's 20. He's literally 20 right now. It's crazy.
If he was on the Grizzlies, I would be talking about him nonstop. Yeah. I would be texting people I like haven't seen in a long time. Be like, hey, I don't know if you've seen this guy. This is Keith, by the way. This guy's really good at basketball. But it's funny because I normally think Lakers fans are generally stereotypically annoying and a bit over the top. And it's like you guys are just talking up your guys so much. Like, guys, Rick Fox was not that good. All right. Like, hey. I'm just saying, Rick Fox, if he played on the Hornets, we wouldn't know who he was, even though he is beautiful. But like this Taylor Horton Tucker guy, I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy I didn't consider being this good, and it might just be a really hot start, and he's not going to average whatever he's averaging, 23 and 7, multiple made threes.
Those numbers are pretty crazy, but again, he's young. But he's shown flashes of this consistently. He was a rookie in the bubble, and Frank Vogel subbed him in a critical moment in that Houston Rockets series, and he looked like he belonged on the court. So this has been a consistent sort of thing with him. I think that he's the real deal. If you want annoying, kind of arrogant sort of Laker fan take a look at this Austin Reeves guy. He's unfortunately hurt right now.
No, I can't do that. I can't do
that.
But
I'm telling you, man,
he's cousin
Reeves,
Greg from Succession.
Yeah.
He is the least muscle definition in his arms of any player I've ever seen play in the NBA. It is staggering. He looks like staggering. I can't get on board with the Austin Reeves thing. People are like, oh, he got hurt. I'm like, yeah, he's not in shape. Like he's not.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Hamstring. I would have a hamstring strain too if I tried to play NBA basketball.
You want a really arrogant take? I think he should be starting. How about that? Austin Reeves, NBA starter on the Los Angeles Lakers.
Slow down. Anyway, I guess we can get you out of here with we'll pour one out for the Staples Center.
I know.
I've never seen so many people upset over something named after a giant supply office store chain. Who cares?
You know what's funny?
This is not the Forum. It's the Staples Center. Who cares?
You know, the thing is, I think people just we like being upset. People like being upset online about especially any change, right?
Yeah.
But I think we just like, we're so used to calling things like, oh, we've been calling this a Staples Center for so long now. But there's an opportunity here, Keith. Nobody's going to call it the crypto.com arena, which is what it's called. We're going to call it the Crypt, and we're going to love it. We're going to love it.
But the problem is, you have to really enunciate that T.
I know. We got to be careful.
You got to call it the Crypt Center. It's otherwise going to be a whole nother mess. Anyway, Daman, thanks so much for hopping on, and look forward to the next time you drop in.
Yes, sir.